Georgie, Georgie Mitchell, what's up? What's up? What's up? Can somebody give me a 10 by 10? Can you tell me that you hear me? Do you hear me, George? Do you hear me, George Mitchell? What's up? What's up? So I want to talk about blackouts, summer blackouts. Can you hear me? 10 by 10. Woo, yeah, baby. I haven't done a live stream like this for a long time, George. So I want to make sure everybody could hear me. I think that summer blackouts are like something that we really should talk about. Right now, I just did a little research. There's over $17 trillion worth of work that needs to be done on our grid. Do we think that it's going to get done? No, definitely not. The government comes up with every lame excuse they possibly can to keep us in the dark, literally. Josh, what's up? Josh Roberts is up in the house. Josh, I'm talking about the blackout syndrome, heat waves, aging infrastructure, and growing demands for ACs, EVs. They're pushing the grid to the point of, well, to its limits. And the result, folks, is these rolling blackouts that we see all across the United States. And there's other countries that are suffering the same exact thing that we are. Every single night. Last night we had a blackout here in Colorado. I didn't even know there was a blackout. I was sleeping. It was hotter than shit, I have to say. But when the power cuts out during extreme heat, so many people are just so vulnerable. Especially our elders, our disabled, people that are on medicine, people that are on like CPAP machines, things like that. And the medical equipment's going to stop working. It's definitely going to stop working. And these vulnerable people, these vulnerable sectors of people is really what is a big, big topic. I think that when we see the data coming in and we see the things that are happening around the country right now, and just because I haven't been doing news doesn't mean that I'm not in the loop. Trust and believe that, okay? We know that this is going to basically leave a lot of people in the dark, a lot of people dying of heat exhaustion, and everybody needs to prep up. That's definitely, the big danger is summer blackouts. And we all know the danger of winter weather extremes. But extreme heat, George, what temperature is it there in Arizona right now? According to Weather Underground, the United States has over 1,300 deaths per year in the United States alone. That doesn't seem like a lot, right? It doesn't really seem like a lot of people die. But during times of extreme heat, we have this incredible dangerous situation, especially for the elders, those with pre-existing health conditions. In addition to heat stroke, there's also the issue of medical equipment, as I said, not working. And according to Scientific American, the frequency of medically significant power outages, defined as those last 8 hours or more, is higher in the summer compared with the winter. And I would rather see the power go out in the winter than in the summer, for several reasons. In the winter, you can layer up of clothes, you can get a fire started, hopefully. And most of these outages, though, are peaking during the spring and midsummer, typically around 6 o'clock at night, according to Scientific American, which basically is the highest electric usage in the United States. Medically significant power outages are those when the outages surpasses the standard battery lifespan for most medical equipment. And a lot of people, don't have the backup batteries and the things they need. So I think that we're experiencing more and more of these outages because of the strain. And we are definitely relying on outdated, overburdened electrical systems that can't keep up with modern demand. We all know this. The power grid is so old here in the United States. And we also know that the transformers inside of the grid, originally built by Germany, are now built by the Chia Pets. And so, do you think that they built reliable transformers inside our grid that the United States purchased? Hell no, they did not. It simply wasn't designed to handle the load that it's experiencing right now to basically get through these heat waves. And the older the grid gets without being updated, the weaker and weaker it's going to get for sure. It's 89, but it's 110. Yeah, with the humidity in Arizona, it's definitely a hot, hot son of a gun, right? Glenn Beck was talking about this, and he estimated that right now, today, the grid needs over $7 trillion in upgrades. I think I said 17 trillion, but it's 7 trillion. And what are they do? What is the government doing? What is the United States doing about it? Absolutely nothing, folks. They're trying to sell us electric cars, which will put more demands on an already stressed out power grid. And as a result, the power companies and the government have started implementing rolling blackouts throughout the country during the hottest months of the year. And basically, with the weak grid, I mean, how much more can we actually handle? Monday, it's going to be 115. Yeah, it's been in Georgia, it's been in like around 100-degree temperatures here in Colorado. And I'll tell you what, I don't have central air conditioning here in this little house, just have a window unit. But I actually had to break down and buy a fan just to try to keep it cool in the bedroom. It was really bad. Then yesterday and still today, we had a 24-hour water break main down here like 2 blocks from us, and from me and Tripper, and it busted in 5 places. And that, so they ran temporary water just to keep us with some water, so that we did have water, because we did go for over 24 hours without water, which is crazy. But these are the things that we prep for. This is the reason that we prep. You know, I think that many people don't realize that this situation is getting worse and worse instead of better. And I don't think there's going to be a better outcome for quite some time. Our government has just totally ignored our power grid for far, way too freaking long. And it's no wonder that we're seeing this drastic increase in summer power outages across the United States. And the thing that's really interesting to me is that they're lasting longer and longer as well, the power outages and the blackouts, brownouts. Between 2013 and 2021, the average duration of an outage in the United States went from approximately 3.5 hours to more than 7 hours. So we definitely have something that we need to think about. I think that knowing our index of vulnerability is really important. Some people can ride a blackout, uh, they can ride it out with not even nothing more than a flashlight and a fan. But others, they're at serious risk the moments the lights go out. And that's really depends on where you live, if you're prepared in any way, shape, or form. Tickets at man is what the blackout around you might be mission, since how you got underground water main breaks 5 different spots in one block. Yeah, it is. It is. It's definitely dangerous times. It's definitely crazy times. That's for sure, Josh. But one thing I think that we really need to think about in your area is, what's the weather like? Are you facing triple digit heat spans, like 4 or 5 days in a row? Do you live in a poorly insulated home or a top floor apartment? Because they trap the heat fast during a blackout. And then who's in your household? Kids, the elderly, disabled, people with heart or respiratory conditions. They have a higher risk when the power does go out. And do you rely on electricity for medical needs? That's another big, huge thing, like a CPAP machine, oxygen machine, or refrigerated medication for like diabetes. A power cut can turn critical very fast for these people. And if you don't have a generator or a backup cooling source, even a few hours without power really, to a lot of people, could be extremely dangerous. Try 36 hours. Yeah, exactly. And George, I think the thing is people always think that, okay, these blackouts are going to last 2, 3, 4 hours. And when they're facing a day or 2 days, that's when it gets extremely dangerous for our elders, our pet, people on CPAP machines, people that do need the electricity to be able to survive and thrive. Or am I frozen? I don't know. Maybe I'm frozen. But I think that we really need to speak about knowing your index of vulnerability, taking care of your home, and then also investing in a solar generator. I think a lot of people always talk on prepping channels about get a generator. Crazy right now. Okay, am I back or am I spinning? George, you're always my critic. Critic. Um, Everyone is in a while. You cut in and out. Okay, yeah, I thought that's what was happening. Let's try something else here to ease up on whatever's happening. Let's go like here. Okay, now I'm just setting in my house, but I like to have the fancy backgrounds and things like that. But let's talk about what you can do instead of what we can't do, right? One of the things that we can do is be aware of our home's own vulnerability index. Do we live in an area where extreme weather and power outages are common? And is your community's power grid especially weak? And if you have a lot of rolling blackouts, you probably should realize at this point that you definitely are in that situation where it's not a good situation for you, particularly in your state that you live in. And that's like really important. This is why I had the back screen up, is because it's so freaking bright I can hardly see y'all. But another thing is does anyone in your family need medical tools that require power, such as a CPAP machine? And then also taking care of your home, making sure your home is well insulated, preventing air from leaking into or out of your house. And I'll tell you what, I met some people in Nebraska. I want to put my back screen back up. I like to be fancy. If it doesn't work, let me know. If it starts fading in now, let me know. Um, I don't know. I'm supposed to be on wonderful 5G. Is that the truth? I don't know, folks. I don't know if 5G is really that awesome. I'm saying. But one thing I want to say is that I met these folks in Nebraska. And when I was there in Nebraska, these are an older couple. And it was very interesting to me that they never had a fan, never had a window AC unit. The Nebraska humidity is off the chart. I mean, it gets superbly hot. So they were fine with it. They learned to live in it. And these folks were like, I would say probably in their mid 70s, and they learned to live in that conditions. But me particularly, it's hard. I mean, heat is hard on people. So I think that one thing that we really need to do is like seal the leaks, especially around the doors and the windows. Anything that we could save money on. And maybe you might even want to check your windows to make sure that your windows are really sufficient. I know that's a big investment, but according to Sealing Your Leaky Homes, it could save you say it saves Americans up to $33 billion a year. Investing in a solar generator, I think that's one thing that me personally I have not done, but I think now more than ever before, I think it's really important to get a solar generator, even if it's just a small one to start out. So I am going to be ordering a solar generator. When I do that, I'll do an unboxing. I'll show it. I'll show how to set it up and everything. I think that a solar generator is really important. And because if you had a few lights or if you could charge a cell phone, I would like to get one that's a little bigger. That's called a Grid Doctor 3300. It can actually power medical equipment and refrigerators without power blips. And then also having the power source, a solar phone pack is really important. They're not very much. I'm pretty much running off of solar lights now in my home at night, which I think is awesome. And so I think that that's another thing that we could do to help ourselves is to have the solar backup light. George, am I frozen or am I back in it? I think I'm back in it. I'm not sure, but I think that that's one thing that we really need to think about. Also, basically managing the heat. And if you do experience a summer power outage, do all you can to manage the heat in your home. Blackout curtains, that's a really light expense solution. I have blackout curtains. I had them in the cabin. I brought them with me. I have them in the bedroom. Okay. Okay, I hope I'm not frozen anymore, but if I'm frozen, just Yeah. But, blackout curtains really help. Sealing the doors really helps. And one of the most important things that we always talk about on prepping channels is staying hydrated. Make sure everyone continues to drink water to avoid dehydration from the heat. That's like really, really important. I realized yesterday that my Alexa Pure water machine was half empty, and I was like, "Oh no!" I was without water for 24 hours, and right now I'm on temporary water. So I think it's really important to stock up. I know, George, you go to the water quite a bit, and you go down there and you get water. But I think having a couple extra cases in the bedroom, under the bed, under the couch, in the closet, wherever you can put them, is so important because dehydration sets in really quickly. And then, along with dehydration, you're going to be overheated, maybe possibly leading to a heat stroke. Stock up on no power emergency food. You all know that I am an affiliate of My Patriot Supply. Is it the best one out there? I do like the brown bag MREs. I still like them. And I've actually gotten rid of most of My Patriot Supply food, and I'm only using the brown bags. And I'll tell you why. Brown bags are easy to carry, they're lightweight, and it's a complete meal. And when I broke those meals down, as if you go to the reboot list, you can see those. But one thing I want to say is that those meals can actually feed two people a decent meal. I think that you would end up with about 1,000 or 1,100 calories each, but they're so easy and so compact. I mean, they come with your condiments, they come with your main meal, your dessert, your drink, and they have like an extra four big bottles, but now I'm down to two and a half. Yeah. And so, George, you do really need to spruce it up a little bit. I've been getting cases of Dasani, and then also I save all my water bottles. One thing I've noticed, and if you look at this bottle right here in front of me, there's a big, huge dent right here. So the water bottles are not made like they used to be. And so they are breaking down very quickly. So I would definitely do, you know, F first in, first out, FIFO, first in, first out, because you don't want that plastic breaking down into your water and you end up drinking it. But I do reuse these, and I think that I'm going to have to cut down on how long I reuse them for. That I do need a drink of water. But I think that's one thing I've noticed. Have you all noticed that about the plastic bottles? So if you look at this one, there's a dent here, a dent here, and a dent here. It's not from my gripping of my hands or anything like that. What I've noticed is these plastic bottles are not as thick as they used to be. And so my concern is that plastic breaking down. We already know from reports I've done in the past is that here in the United States, we eat a credit card a month in our food, along with hairs and all that other nasty shit. So I think that I would be very cautious about the water bottles and how long you're keeping them to consume them, right? Oh yeah. I don't drink from the tap here either, George. What I do is I actually I switch it out and I actually take that and I put it into my Alexa Pure and I will not drink the tap water. But I'm going to say this too, just from past learning about the tap water, is that the tap water has so much stuff in it. But on top of that, even the bottled water, when you put them and you do a side by side test, the actual water bottle, the actual bottled water is not that great. We have a serious condition in the United States with the water and how good it is. So that's one thing that we should also take into consideration. I think the other thing is if we do have a blackout, is don't be cooking inside. Use a barbecue outside. Use the Instafire, which I still have one of those, the Instafire Inferno Pro outdoor stove. The little tiny stoves that fit like a wallet. You can go to the reboot list and see that stove. I did a bunch of demos on it cooking. But I think it's really important to buy those backup water supplies and solar generator before it's too dark and too hot, everyone. I think that that's one thing that we really need to take into consideration. And I think that the other thing that concerns me, right, is the water situation here in the United States. That's one of the biggest things that I think most people are like, okay, well, I'll drink tap water. I'll go buy some cases of water. I think it's really important to get some activated charcoal, to get a way to use that water. You'd like to get up to Montana and to go to Bad Rock Canyon and get some pure water. Yeah, and there's some other places in the country that have pure water. There's a spring here, a huge spring here in Colorado. Yeah, I still agree with that, Josh. We do have to protect the well water, though. I mean, if you think about it, the well water has been under attack for quite some time, too. And I think one thing that we really, really need to think about is if the grid goes down, how to access clean water any freaking time you need it. Be it if it's a power outage, a boil notice, or a long term emergency, clean drinking water is the first thing that you're going to miss. And it's also without water, I don't want to be doom and gloomy today, but without good drinking water, we are screwed, blued, and tattooed. The problem is the grid can go down at any time, and then the municipal water supply is constantly across this country being found unsafe. In 2024, y'all, there was an EPA study that reported that 4,032 boil water advisories had happened. And then there was another one dating back to 2012 to 2014 that there was over 20,000 notices across 50 states. And that's why it's critical that we know how, as preppers and survivalist homesteaders, people with elderly folks in their homes, how we can find those water sources. I think that looking for those hidden water sources when your water isn't safe to drink or you have a boil advisory or if we have a real true SHTF is really important. Remember that inside your water tank, your water heater, the tank has several gallons of water that you can use in an emergency. You need to open that drain spout and have a water container ready and just let it boil in there. Just let it pour down. Having 5-gallon buckets is really a necessity. Collapsible ones, the plastic ones, you can buy them at Wally World. You can buy them all over the place, right? And I think that that's really important. Hello, Susanna. Thank you for coming in. So having those collapsible water buckets, especially if you're in a small apartment or small home, are really important. Or if you're a nomad living in an RV or a camper, those are just a go-to. And that's like really important, folks. I had several of those when I did travel in the RV for 6 years, almost 7 years. And I do miss that lifestyle as well as I miss the cabin. I mean, I have to admit. The most common technique, and most of you that have been on this channel know this, is to boil that water out. A lot of people just say boil it for a couple minutes, it's good. But I want to tell you, you need to boil the water for at least 30 minutes to kill bacteria and organisms that are, ooh, I almost said something else. You need to boil it for 30 minutes to get the nasty bacteria out. And if you're still unsure, you can pour the boiled water through a coffee filter before you use it. Coffee filters are another thing that you really should have in your preps. It's really important. Now, I want to say that a lot of contaminants cannot be removed by boiling, such as pesticides, pharmaceuticals, which will lead to a do not drink, use public health advisory. So in these situations, you need another method to help clean the water, which is other than boiling. You can use the bleaching method, but you better know what you're doing if you're going to bleach it. If you're unable to boil water, you can also disinfect the water using unscented, listen to me very carefully, unscented concentrated bleach with either 6% or 8.25% sodium hydrochloride. Locate a fresh liquid chlorine bleach or a chlorine bleach that is stored at room temperature for less than 1 year. Add 2 drops only. You have to do your due diligence if you're going to use the bleaching method, which is really, really, really freaking important, everyone. So it's 2 drops of bleach, 8.25% bleach to 1 quart or liter of water in a glass container, and double the amount of the bleach if the water is cloudy, colored, or very cold. And make sure you stir it and then you let it stand for 30 minutes. I want to say this. I used to have a 150-gallon saltwater aquarium, right? And so the corals would get all algaed up. And so I would take them and put them in a bleach bucket outside the sun, set them there for about 30 minutes, then I'd pull them out and just lay them on the grass. So it's really important if you're going to use the bleaching method to know what the hell you're doing. If you don't know what the hell you're doing, make sure that you can go to if you become a member, there's over 500 books. I'm putting it out again. There's 500 books that you can download as a PDF. There's everything from army manuals to water purification, foraging, all kinds of stuff, first aid. So if you become a member, I think it's 99 cents now. I don't know. I lowered the price. If you do that, and George, if you need the link again, let me know and I'll get it sent to you. Okay. But the thing about using chlorine is the sun does most of the work to get that bleach off there. It'll do the same thing if you set that glass bottle out in the sun. The sun is going to penetrate that glass bottle and it's going to the bleach is going to be gone, and then you're going to have pure drinking water that's really it really is good. Also, 1 teaspoon of bleach, put in some water for dishes, works awesome. Also, you should have some dish buckets for your sinks, right? What's up, Nunya? We're talking about blackouts, man. We're talking about blackouts, and now it's led us into the water situation. But I think the other thing is most people have these or have had them, but make sure you have some water purification tablets. That method is so freaking simple. Drop one of those bad boys in. It deactivates bacteria, viruses, and parasites, and it also removes chlorine or iodine. So, I mean, hold on, excuse me. The tablets is usually chlorine or iodine. I would not you really need to buy the tablets in the container. They're like, what are they? I think they're like 8 or 10 bucks now. Fifth, yeah, there you go. There you go. Blackout does equal a fifth of tequila or or a nice bottle of rum from the Philippines, either one. But one tablet will disinfect approximately a half quart of water. So it does take a couple. You also can use the DIY method. If you go to the reboot list, you can see that DIY method by making your own filter. 2 buckets, sand, dirt, rocks, and water. That's all it takes. All you got to do is collect up your materials, punch a few small holes in the 5-gallon bucket, let that 5-gallon bucket drain into the second one, going through those layers. So that makes it super simple. I mean, I think honestly, getting back to basics is really, really important. And that DIY filter method helps so much, and it's a great way to save money. You don't have to go get an Alexa Pure or anything like that. You can. An Alexa Pure Pro filter system is probably one of the smartest investments that I've ever made. Instead of buying the Berkey, I think it was like I think I paid roughly $200 $300 for it. Charcoal, activated charcoal, definitely activated charcoal for sure. I think that it's really important in a grid down situation or off grid living. Cutting out the chemicals in your tap water is so important. And learning how to do it yourself is so important too, folks. It really is. I think that with more and more blackouts happening and brownouts happening around the United States, it's probably one of the most important things we can do is to be prepped up and ready for having to find that emergency water source. So I just wanted to come on today. I miss doing live streams. Let me see here what we got going on. George, thanks for coming in. Josh, thanks for coming in. Nunya, I'm going to make you a mod here. Let me see. Let me see. Maybe I can make you a mod. Let me make you a mod so that you can, if you want to drop your links, folks. I really appreciate your support over the years for sure. And I want to bring back more of the live streams. I want to bring back more of the basics. We're Lucky Company sending filters for Annie to review. We got 4 Alexa Pures and 3 Berkeys. No shit. Wow. That's nice. That's nice for sure, man. That's really nice. I wish I got a free Alexa Pure. What do I got to do to be popular like you? Huh? What do I got to do to be so lucky? I mean, that's great, man. That's a lot. That's a money saver for sure, isn't it? I mean, it really is. I'm not going to stay on too long. I just came on to la kind of about what we can do, what we should do, and how to prepare for these blackouts. I know. Well, shit. How did she get it? How did she, Nunya? How did she get so many? Hello, Skipping. She just got home from the concert. Three, no, four Alexa Pures and three Berkeys. Whoa, dude. That's awesome. They held me at 5,500 for 2 years now. Wow. Hi, Tin 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 Tin. I'm charging my drone, y'all. So that's what my plans are for the day. As soon as my batteries are charged up, I want to go fly the drone. I'm going to go out to one of the lakes or parks and zoom it around and see how many people I can hit. She just got a pool cleaning robot, like 750 for free. She's doing something right, Nunya. We need to follow your little Frenchie and find out what she's doing, because that's pretty awesome. That is pretty awesome, y'all. I'm not going to stay on here much longer, folks. I just wanted to say, prepare for the blackouts. Be ready. Get you some blackout drapes. Get you some activated charcoal. Get you plenty of water. And most of all, just to recap, make sure you use an FIFO because these water bottles are breaking down really fast. So make sure you're rotating your stock, be it if it's MREs, be it if it's your canned food, your canning of food, your water. Make sure you're testing your equipment. Make sure you have a flashlight and the basic things. Well, shoot, I'm sorry there, Georgie. And oh, yeah, definitely. Keep on prepping. I want to say to each and every one of you, God bless you here from here in Colorado to wherever you're at. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for smashing the thumbs up if you're watching this today or in the future. Keep on getting back to basics and prep the things that really are important. And I'll tell you what, it's not all the bullshit because a lot of the bullshit will definitely break down. Definitely do the things that are really important to you. And whatever you do, keep on going with the flow. God bless you from here in Colorado to wherever you're at. Big, huge prepper hugs. This goes out to you.